Good night, good night, good night. How are you? This is Brother Jose. I'm doing a review of Brother Tehuti Afar's video. This um, Brother Tehuti Afar's video. In a second. I'm going to review Brother Tehuti Afar's video that he did 9 hours ago. It's called Medunature Language that Confirms Science in Classical Africa. So let me get his link to put in my chat. Let me get the proper link because that's not it. So let's delete that. Put this here. That's the proper link to Brother Tehuti Afar's channel. Right? So we can go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the brother's channel. So let me go ahead, set up his video, and mute out my microphone. So there is the brother's video. I'm going to go ahead and mute out my microphone. Just let me.
Science, and not only Kemet, but mostly Kemet, but I will go over some terms that are West African, or Chi, as I should say. So once again, we're going to let people come in. We're going to give this chance to people to come in. And then we're going to start things around the 5-minute mark. So hit the like button, subscribe, share the link, let people know that I'm going live. We're going to learn about Medunature language that confirms science in Kemet. So stay tuned and sit tight. Again, we're going to start at the 5-minute mark. So like, share, and subscribe.
Dakar, c'est Dakar.
Hotep family. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Today we're going to get into meta nature language that confirms science and Kemet. If you tuned in last time, we went over two terms. One term was Tep Hiseb, and the other was Saya or Sa. As you can see, we have another one. I added Seba or Saba to that list. Some people pronounce it Saba, but just so you know, Seba or Saba is another term that verifies science as a practice in Kemet. We have Sia, we have Seba, and we have Tep Haseb. The definitions and meanings are underneath the hieroglyph, so take the time to read that. I'm going to first go over Sia and Tep Haseb, and then we're going to go into some additional meta-nature terms that verify the practice of science in Kemet. So
You see now, I didn't know that this was sort of a continuation from his other video, so I really should have showed that video. But since we're already into this video, I'll go ahead and show this video tonight, and then tomorrow I will show the other video. So I will show the other video tomorrow because I didn't know it was sort of like this was a continuation. But let's get into this one, then I'll show the other one tomorrow, right?
right now we're looking at Sia, sometimes pronounced Sa. Sia is depicted as a man with a hieroglyph of a fringed cloth or a case of reed pens atop of his head. So the deification of Sia is telling you that it is in relation to deep thought and science. As you can see, the hieroglyph, you have three variations of the hieroglyph.
Thank you.
The common variation is a seated man holding his chin, and that's obviously universal and representative of deep thought, being in contemplation. When you look up the word Sia, it means to be cognizant, to have good perception and cognitive skills. So again, Sia is a scientific term. Just because the Europeans don't say it's a scientific term doesn't mean it's a scientific term. If we look up these definitions to hieroglyphics and they have something pertaining to perception, cognition, deep thinking, then we have to say it's scientific. We don't have to wait for them to tell us what is and what ain't. Again, Saya, or I should say Sia, is one of many meta-nature terminologies that verify scientific practice. Here it is on the far left, the seated man holding his chin, reflecting deep thought. We're going to recap and revisit Tep Heseb as well. Tep Heseb is going to be on the far right. This is going to be Kaba Kamine's choice of Tep Heseb. Like I said, and as you'll learn, there are many variations of the same concept when you read and interpret hieroglyphs. You will learn that. So we're going to get back into Tep Heseb. This is right out of Kaba Kamine's book that I went over last time on my last live stream. Tep Heseb is an accurate reckoning by making use of a correct method. That is Tep Heseb. And the key dagger here is correct method. And Tep Heseb is present in papyri, namely the Rhine papyri, the mathematical papyri. So it's telling you it is connected through science based on it being used, based on it being made use of for the mathematical papyri. And a lot of people are going to say, well, math isn't a science, but we'll get into that. While math isn't a science, there are a lot of direct relationships that science has with math. While math isn't a science, they will tell you that mathematics is a scientific language.
Laquelle? C'est laquelle?
And their Tep Heseb is again on the right. And this is Kaba Kamine's edition of Tep Heseb. In one edition, you will have a foot in a Tep Heseb hieroglyph. What it's telling you is Tep Heseb is a foundation. That's why you see the word Tep. Tep is a specific foundation, and before you begin your method, you have to have that foundation. Tep is also found as the name of gnomes. Specific gnomes in Kemet have the word Tep. Tep Zepi is an example of that. So again, the word Tep means to be grounded and have foundation. So you also find Tep in many papyri, but Tep Heseb is notably found in the Rhine papyri or the Rhine papyrus. And then you have Zep Tepi, not Zep Tepi, but or Zep Tepi, not Tep Sepi, but Zep Tepi, which means the first time, right? Tep also is associated with time. So a lot of this is associated with time, mathematics, numbers. The next term is going to be Seba. We're going to get into what Seba means. A lot of you are already familiar with Seba, but it slips your mind to bring up the point that Seba is another way to verify the practical use of science in Kemet. Seba is also African. It's just not exclusive to Kemet because we have Sebas in West Africa. We have Sebas in Africana studies. We just don't have them in Kemet. So the culture of Kemet is extended out through African culture.
I think it's an hour, and I waited till so late to put it on. What I'm gonna do is I'll probably play about a half an hour of it now, and then I'll play the rest of it sometime tomorrow. Then I'll play the other video as well. I probably just play about half an hour since it's so late. I waited till so late. My apologies. I should have done it earlier. I went for about a half an hour, so then I'll play the rest tomorrow. No, tomorrow for sure. Should I say later on today? Because it's already after 12. So I'll do that.
D'accord. C'est d'accord.
Most people don't reject knowledge, they reject correction. And that is why they remain unchanged. In Kemetic science, Seba means teacher, but not the lecturer, the corrector, refiner, witness. You can study Seba teachings all day long, but without Seba, distortion hides. This is where chaos begins. Not dramatic chaos, subtle chaos. You misinterpret insight, you rationalize impulse, you defend blind spots, You confuse comfort with clarity. And that is disorder without visible noise. And it always feels like growth until something collapses. And here's the illusion: I can teach myself. I don't need correction. I already understand. But ego cannot refine itself. You cannot see what you are protecting, and you cannot correct what you cannot detect. And that is why sacred containers existed, not to control thought, to expose distortion. And temple structure provided Seba because transformation requires friction. Without correction, knowledge becomes opinion, insight becomes ego, and autonomy becomes isolation. So, kindred of the house, if you recognize that you have reached the limit of self guidance, if you know that insight without correction keeps. Most people don't reject knowledge, they reject correction.
You
And
want to
that
play
is
it
why
from
they
the beginning.
remain unchanged. In Kemetic science, Seba means teacher, but not the lecturer, the corrector, refiner, witness. You can study Seba teachings all day long, but without Seba, distortion hides. This is where chaos begins, but not dramatic chaos, subtle chaos. You misinterpret insight, you rationalize impulse, you defend blind spots, you confuse comfort with clarity. And that is disorder without visible noise. And it always feels like growth until something collapses. And here's the illusion: I can teach myself. I don't need correction. I already understand. But ego cannot refine it. You cannot see what you are protecting. You cannot correct what you cannot detect. And that is why sacred containers existed, not to control thought, to expose distortion. And temple structure provided Seba because transformation requires friction. Without correction, knowledge becomes opinion, insight becomes ego, and autonomy becomes isolation. So, kindred of the house, if you recognize that you have reached the limit of self guidance, if you know that insight without correction keeps looping, and if you feel the calling pressing lower each time you figure it out alone, you already understand the role of Seba. The threshold gives you access, the house gives you refinement, and refinement does not happen in isolation. You already feel it. Chaos without correction repeats. So answer the call. Come home to the house of knowing. And don't just speak about growth, submit.
All right. And that audio comes from the House of Knowing. That is a YouTube channel that has good information on it in regards to Kemetic knowledge and Kemetic concepts. Again, it's called the House of Knowledge. Um, we're going to go over the importance of Seba and why it's important. It's important because when we go into these domains, these sectors within the conscious community, everybody wants to know about the information and if it's coming from a scholar. So the Kemetic equivalent for scholar would be Seba, because it's important to know where your information is coming from, if it's correct, and if it isn't correct, can it be corrected? That's the whole concept of Seba, as we just heard. So we know by that definition of Seba that we know we have science, we have practical use of science, scientific methods to correct things, the correct method. Tub Heseb wasn't just a method, it was the correct method. Seba isn't just a person, it's a person who corrects and guides. It gives you clarity. You have the wisdom teachings, the wisdom text, the maxims of Ptah Hotep, our guidance, our wisdom teachings. That is another piece of meta nature language that verifies scientific practice in Kemet, scientific practice before colonialism. Seba is the hieroglyphic in the middle. Seba also means star because the stars guide us.
Yeah, man. His link to his profile is in the chat. So go ahead and subscribe to the brother's page. Go on ahead and subscribe to the brother's page. Subscribe to the brother's page, show him a little support. Go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and pin that link to the top of the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and pin that link to the top of the chat. I'm gonna pin that link to the top of the chat. I'm gonna pin that link to the top of the chat. See if I can pin that link to the top. Put it back in. Pin it. Put it back in. Let's see if I can pin it to the top of the chat. Well, it's in there, so I don't know why I can't pin it to the top of the chat, but I'll put it in the text. So you see it at the bottom of the chat here. As you see, right? So I think since I came on so late, I'm gonna stop sharing it, and I'm gonna play the rest tomorrow. Then I'm gonna play this other video tomorrow. I'm gonna come on a little earlier. So people have a good night and peace and blessings.